Good morning, welcome to Greenwood Bonsai Studio. This weekend we've just had our Greenwood Bonsai Bash 2025, and for those of you that made it, supported us, thank you very much for coming along. We had an excellent weekend, brilliant weather, hundreds of people in attendance, demonstrations with Sean Smith, workshops with Sean Smith. We had so many people looking around the nursery, but part of that event is the exhibition of some of my specimen bonsai from my personal collection. So for those of you that couldn't make it this year, or you're perhaps watching from another country, we always do a little synopsis just to show you some of the trees. So if you couldn't make it, you can see the display and some of the trees that we put on. So we're just gonna show you around, walk you through the exhibition. It's Monday morning now after the event. We're just about to disband the exhibition and water all the trees and put them back to where they live. So before we break it all down, we've just sneaked in the studio to show you what you might have missed. Okay, so we'll have a little wander about. I'll tell you a little bit about the trees. And some of these you might have seen before, and that's okay because you're now seeing them a year or two further on as they're more developed. And there's also some trees in here that you might not have seen before. So we'll have a little look at them. This first one is a Cedar of Lebanon, Cedrus libani. It was styled from advanced nursery stock. I've owned it for about 12 years or so. Over that time, this bark has started to crack up and craze. The younger bark look is more smooth in here, but as it gets older and thicker, just starting to crack. So this is getting so much better in recent years. It's got a rock feature here, and it's been restyled. The front used to be around the other side. And a couple of years ago, I was fortunate enough to buy this Klika pot from the trophy show in Belgium. It's made in the Czech Republic, and the texture and the colour of this harmonises and picks out the tone and the texture of the bark, just pushing its fresh spring growth, very, very bright and fresh at this time of year. So that's been on display a couple of times. This next one is Acer palmatum Dissectum Atropurpureum. This was grown from just a tiny little tree that my father bought from a shop in the early 70s, might be like 1970, 1971. It was featured in his book, The Complete Book of Bonsai. So here's the tree, photographed in 1989. So that's a good few years ago. Quite a slender tree back then, and when it came up, there's a split in it. And it forked, and then the right hand fork crossed over to the left. And a lot of people say that's not technically correct, structurally correct, but it always never really bothered the tree, never really bothered my father who owned it, and I think he delighted in the fact it was technically wrong, but it still looked a nice tree. But about 10 years ago, it blew off the bench and landed on the ground. It's quite a brittle tree, and that whole side snapped off. So you can see in here, if I lift that foliage up, can you get in there with the camera, Josh? That scar on the right hand side is where that branch was, which has now become a feature and part of the story, part of the history of the tree. It's potted into a Chu-ming wood-fired bonsai pot, and it's took me about the last 10 or 12 years to regrow the tree, because it was very one-sided once that damage happened, to regrow it, to give it the full canopy that it's got. This is a tree that's new to my collection for the last 3 years, and it's a Cornus kousa. Some of you would have heard of the cornelian cherry, the Cornus mass, but this is the kousa, Japanese dogwood, and this has, when it flowers, it has like a bract, like a magnolia coloured bract. This one hasn't yet flowered since I've had it, but heavy trunk, exfoliating bark. Just the other day, this bark here is flaked off, leaving this under the softer colour of the inner bark. When it's not in leaf, a lot of people think some people mistake it for a Trident maple when it's not in leaf, because of the heavy trunk. And it's one of those trees that when it's not in leaf, or even when it's in leaf, if you're not very familiar with trees, it's a hard one to identify if you've not seen one before. So we brought that out because it's a little bit different. Beautiful autumn colour on that also. This is a Acer palmatum, Cotto no Ito. It's I've got a smaller version of this. I've had it for a number of years, and I've added this to my collection about 3 years ago. I've known the tree for quite some time. It's got quite nice nabari in a Chinese handmade pot. Bright green, very delicate lace leaf maple. And this tree in particular in autumn, if we have an autumn display, we'll show you this. This is bright orange in autumn. It's like a firework bursting. It's really nice. So displayed well at this time of year and also in autumn. Very elegant, graceful tree. This is a new tree to the collection. This is a Turkey oak. It was came into us about October time from an owner who was selling it on, and it was in just brown leaf. They hang on to the leaves to some extent. Been grown in the UK over about a 40-year period. Grown quite slowly. There's no big cut marks, chop marks on it. It's not a mass-produced tree, so it's got lovely movement. Beautiful, quite a good base for a homegrown tree. Old bark, craggy, nice movement, good taper, and no big cuts and saw marks on it. Fresh with leaf at the moment. I've took a few of the larger ones off. These are quite a good size, small size leaf for a Turkey oak. And again, we needed to pot this spring. It wasn't in a very suitable pot when I bought it. It was a bit too small for it, and this has gone into a Klika pot. And again, I do like these textured pots because they bring out the texture in the bark. You know, some people would put this in a smooth pot so they get contrast with the bark. I like to put it in something that harmonises with it a little bit more. And then this is on a handmade oak bonsai table as well. So it's one that hasn't been featured here before, hasn't been on display, and we had quite a few comments about it during the event. It's fully wired as well. I wired it in November, so that wire's managed to bring it into position, and we'll take that off in a few months. And then next year we'll possibly be able to display it without any wire on it. This is a rough bark maple of mine, Acer palmatum Ara. It was in a crackled glaze Gordon Duffett pot, but it's outgrown it this year, so we need another pot. I was lucky enough to find this beautiful vintage John Pitt bonsai pot. And the colour of this, the tone of it with the bark is really nice. You can see it pushing new roots on the surface. This was repotted this year, doing ever so well. All these white roots look already at this time of year. So it's really growing well, this tree. Nice winter effect with the bark on it. This is a mountain hemlock, added to our collection last year. Japanese mountain hemlock, Tsuga diversifolia. Just coming into spring growth. You can see here at the tips, just opening up, pushing new growth. Repotted last year into this Yamaki pot. This is the one it was imported in. Just got a little wire just pulling that branch down at the moment, and that's on a custom made CHR bonsai table with a sort of rustic finish, which goes nicely with the rustic texture of the bark. This is a Cedrus maple, Acer palmatum Cedrus. I've had this tree about 20 years. The base has been developing over that time. It's about a third thicker than it was when I bought it. And this has gone into a Andreas pot from Austria. I bought this pot, some of you might remember. It was a pot that I bought for the Shishigashira, but the Shishigashira was far too big for it. So this pot was kind of spare, and it looks beautiful in that. You know, in spring, a few weeks ago, all these leaves were bright orange. Obviously now they've faded to a green, but then when they were orange, against that green pot, it was very nice. We've got a little collection of pots and accessories, knickknacks in the glass cabinets, and quite a few people just enjoy looking at them every year. And then at the end, if you pan out a little bit, Josh, and the end display here is our display of Shishigashira maples. So those of you that know me know that it's my favourite type of bonsai or type of tree. So we had these on display to show you. This one here I bought at the trophy show about 10 years ago or so. It was a little bit neglected at the time. We've been growing the branches out, getting it better and better. It's been doing really quite well. It's in a vintage, just been potted into a vintage Aspinall, Derek Aspinall bonsai pot. Very, very, very sought after bonsai pot this is. And it's got really very good structure. This is the one we did a video on this recently, a double XL Shishigashira repotting in a Shuho bonsai pot from Tokoname. Very heavy trunk, imported specimen, imported from Japan a couple of years ago. But it was in a pot that we didn't really fancy, and now it's in this beautiful display. Heavy trunk, quite impressive tree. A bit strange perhaps on that video because it always photographs quite small. We've got a photograph of it and you think it was about this sort of size. So that's why it's on display. People have seen it on the video or on a photograph, but to see it in real life, obviously you get an idea the size of it. And then this year, a new little tree to display it. Yeah, if you can have a little sort of accessory planting alongside a big Shishigashira, and then why not have a little Shishigashira? So I've been after a little Shohin, or slightly bigger than Shohin, Shishi for a number of years, and that's that one there. This one on the right is one that I bought from Japan when I was over for the World Bonsai Convention. It's just gone into this Yamaki bonsai pot. It's got really quite developed nibari, and it sits alongside these others, and they all get on quite well. They all get on quite well together, which is good. So that's a nice display of those, something quite unusual that you won't often see. And then on this side, we've got Japanese maple, imported about 10 years ago. The base of this, the nibari, is really quite developed, and that's in a Brian Albright, probably vintage 25-30-year-old bonsai pot. And we've not displayed this for a number of years, so that's good to have this out on display. And this next one's quite important. This is English oak, my father's English oak. So those of you that got a copy of my father's book, The Complete Book of Bonsai, there was a few different editions of it, but the majority of these books had this oak on the cover. So this was in 1989. It was about 40-year-old at that time. This original trunk line here, as they sometimes do in nature, died off. So the original trunk is here and here, with this dead wood here. And it all died off, and there's a little sprout came from here, little sprout came from here, and this section here has took me about between 15 and 20 years to grow this section on from just a little bud. And this has grown up to here, and now we've just started in the last couple of years forming another tree from what we had left. Still a bit more work to do on it. This branch wants to come down into here now. Maybe this one forward a little bit, maybe this one in here and this one down. But if you check back, we did a video on this a couple of weeks ago where we actually showed you it being repotted and worked on 4 years ago. And so if you want a bit of the history of this tree, just check out that video on our YouTube channel. The same with this one. We did a video on this a while back. Arakawa maple. I don't know what you say the style is. You know, you get root over rock, but this isn't root over rock. It's sort of tree against rock. All this side, there's this rock that this tree has grown up against. Must have been growing on here for years. And it was a sale recently, and I bought it at the trophy show in Belgium. And the front was around the other side when it was on display for sale, and you couldn't even see this rock. And I just glimpsed it, and I just thought it was quite unique. This was trimmed on Thursday, wasn't it? Yeah, just we trimmed this on Thursday, look, and it's just put this shoot out in the last 4 days. So it's surprising how much vigour that's got. Even since the video we did of that, it's just gone crazy. This is Ezo spruce, Parcia Glenii. It's been exhibited before, sort of twin trunk style, recently potted into this wood-fired bonsai pot, just bursting with green, fresh, new growth this spring. Just a nice tree to have on display. And this next one, I don't think we've actually done a video on this one yet, but this is a tree that's always quite a popular tree. So this is a golden Juniperus plumosa aurea, so it's a golden juniper. It's a tanuki, so tanuki is a style of tree where you get a piece of deadwood and you wrap a live tree onto it. So here we've got 2 live trees on the piece of deadwood. We've got one here and one at the back here. And 20 years ago these were fastened on. Just to show people, I've left the screws here. You normally remove them, but I've just left them to educate people what it is. So this has been fastened onto here, been grown up for a number of years. We'll perhaps do a video on this sometime, because I have got photographs of this during the process. It's quite an exciting thing to see. Quite a dramatic tree in a John Pitt bonsai pot, so that's always a nice one to have on display. And when Sean was here last week, he spent some time applying lime sulphur to this to bleach the deadwood and tidying up the bark and a few of the twigs, so that kept him busy for a few hours. So we thought all his hard work shouldn't go to waste and we should put it on display, which we have done. Here we've got Trident Maple, Acer, imported from Japan, root over rock, old tree, exfoliating bark, wonderful lines in this Ibigawa rock, absolutely beautiful. The trouble is at this time of year when it's in full leaf, the rock actually comes all the way up here, about 2/3 of the way up the tree where my hand is, but you can't really see the rock at this time of year. Probably better displayed in winter when you can see all the components of the tree. And then we've got a blue cedar, blue atlas cedar. You can see it's just dropping a few little old needles. We were picking them off every day during the exhibition. It's normal at this time of year that it sent the new ones out, but beautiful colour. Nothing else has that blue of a cedar in spring. And this is in a John Pitt pot, which is absolutely stunning with the blue needle. Actually, with this tree, I bought this pot off John maybe 15 years ago, and I bought the pot, didn't have a tree for it. I thought if I can find a blue cedar to go in that pot, that's going to look lovely. And it took me probably 10 more years to find a blue cedar that had the sort of style and the shape that I could, and the size that I could get it into that pot that I'd already bought. And then this Cascade Maple, purchased last year, a small leaf cultivar in this vintage Shuho bonsai pot. You know, in spring, a couple of weeks ago, these leaves had more of an orange tinge to them. And the thing I particularly like about this, in this pot, if you look at the front here, where this copper glaze drips like this and descends along the front of the pot, it just mimics the cascade line descending and dropping down. It's absolutely magical. And then here, I'm growing sections out on this right hand side. I want to grow these branches out to fill in here, so we've got a bit more visual weight here and to give it a bit more balance to the cascade. So for those who didn't make it, I hope you've enjoyed the little walk around video. Spend a lot of time and effort to get these trees ready for exhibition, to put them on display. You know, it's absolutely wonderful for people to come up every year or every couple of years and see the progression of the trees, and to see specimen trees on display like this at Greenwood Bonsai Studio. Hope you enjoyed the walk around, and next year, Greenwood Bonsai Bash, May 2026. Keep your eyes peeled for the date, and we'd like to welcome you along next year. And we're always grateful of the support from our customers, people that attended this year. Thank you very much.